Hello, everyone. My name is John from Community Life Church in Catskill, New York, and this is Meals Ready to Eat from the Bible. Hello, and welcome back to another 5 Things video. This is 5 Things I Learned from the book of Romans chapter 12, How to Think Like God Thinks. Now, we can learn a lot just simply by reading the Bible. Yes, I know there's a lot more things in every chapter of Romans than just 5 things, but this is a simple overview and it'll get you started. At any rate, by reading it, simply reading it, we can see that God gives us choices in Romans 12. Pick good and follow him, or pick evil and follow the world's ways. Romans 12 offers us guidance on how to live in a world that does not know him. In this chapter, Paul begins to tie together all the stuff he's written earlier in the book. Here are 5 things I saw in Romans 12, once again, about fitting into a church and relating to the people there. And I learned to think like God thinks just by reading 12. Alrighty, let's break this down, see what God's saying to us, what he got for us in this chapter, and we'll give you the 5 things right here. Number 1, therefore, I urge you, brethren, by the mercies of God, to present your bodies a living and holy sacrifice, acceptable to God, which is your spiritual service of worship. Present our bodies means to give our lives to God in order to serve him, putting ourselves at his disposal, putting myself at his disposal. We're, after all, created by him, for him, to do his will while we're alive. You can read about that in Revelation 4:11. And our service to him is part of our worship of him, not a ritualistic sacrifice or something just done to do or say, oh, I got to pray to God today for 30 seconds or something like that, but as a living and holy by faith sacrifice to God. We ought to be people who dedicate ourselves to him, not to get back from him, not to get something from him, not to be blessed by him, as we say, but in giving to him. Do not exhort this part of faith, an important part of faith. We are not to focus on getting for ourselves through faith. Rather, we are to give to God and others through faith. Let me take a sip of tea. Hold on. And do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, so that you may prove what the will of God is, that which is good and acceptable and perfect. But this choice kind of reveals the choice we all face. We can conform to the world and its way of living, or we can be transformed to conform to God and live for him, which is really living. The choice is to be transformed or conformed. We got to make a choice. And it refers to how we think and how we look at the world and how we look at people. We have to allow God to change us so that we can think like he thinks. Then it is not only that I'm changed, but but also those around us. And you can read more about this in Colossians 3, chapter 3, verses 1 through 3, and Isaiah 55, 8, and 9. Number 3, a long one. For through the grace given to me, I say to everyone among you, not to think more highly of himself than he ought to think, but to think so as to have sound judgment, as God has allotted to each a measure of faith. For just as we have many members in one body, and all members do not have the same function, so we are many are one body in Christ and individually members of one another. All right, so how do we think like God? We start by not thinking about ourselves as better than anyone. That's the first step in a path to thinking like God, is to understand that I, and all of us, have a place in the world and in the local church, and that my place is not bigger or better than anyone else's. God expects us to contribute to the working of the local church. Just one of the things he wants us to do. We all have a place in the local church, but for each of us, it's a different part. Not a more important part, a different part. Find your part, I got to find my part, and I got to live it out. Cannot do this if I think I'm the most important person around. Very important point. Also, you can see Philippians 2, verses 3 through 5 on that. Number 4, let love be without hypocrisy. Abhor what is evil, cling to what is good. Be devoted to one another in brotherly love. Give preference to one another in honor. That's Romans 12, 9, 10. Paul continues the path of esteeming others above ourselves. Very important point, something we got to do. He tells us to love one another honestly and to, therefore, stay away from evil thoughts and evil deeds. We must honor our brothers and sisters, even if it costs me, my honor. I'm to give honor to others and to bless others and to speak well of others. Number 5, bless those who persecute you, bless and do not curse. Rejoice with those who rejoice and weep with those who weep. Okay, so finally we see how this is accomplished. If my thinking is like God's, I can now bless with those who persecute me. Jesus did. You can read that in Luke 23:34, and rejoice with those who rejoice. If something good happens to a person in my church or my family, someone I know, it's good for me. We got to look at it that way and see that when something good happens to someone, it's not bad for me. The way of seeing people, this way of seeing people triumphs over the world's way, where we're taught to be arrogant and boastful and selfish and to think only of ourselves and to demand that we get our place in the world. Well, there you have it. Once again, it's not an in-depth study of Romans 12, but these are the things I learned about the calling of all people who follow Jesus and allow Jesus to change us inside and out. It's about how to think like God thinks, how to react to people like God reacts to people, how to pursue people like God pursues people. We're given a choice by God. What we do with that choice changes our lives, my life, your life, and those we meet, those around us, those in the church, those outside of it. And that is good news. All right, thanks for watching. You can find us on the web at clchurch.cc. That's clchurch.cc. We meet 10:30 Sunday mornings in 20 West Main Street, Catskill, New York. Hope to see you there, and thanks once again.